Chosen one, stop for a moment. Do not scroll past this. Something has shifted in you, and the people who thought they could always reach you can feel it. You did not become cold. You did not lose your heart. You simply stopped bleeding for hands that kept opening the same wound. They realized it is over. Not because you shouted, not because you begged, not because you tried to punish them with silence. They realized it because your spirit no longer runs toward the sound of their confusion, and that quietness in you is frightening them more than any argument ever could. You used to feel every change in their tone. One short message could disturb your whole day. One delayed reply could make your chest tighten. And even when you promised yourself you would not care anymore, some hidden part of you still waited for them to notice your pain and finally choose you correctly. But now something feels different. You may not even have words for it yet. The old pull is weaker. The old panic is quieter. The old need to explain your heart is fading. And while they expected you to break again, heaven was doing something deeper inside you than they were prepared to face. This is why the silence feels strange. It is not empty. It is not dead. It is not bitterness, pretending to be peace. It is the sound of your soul returning to itself after spending too long trying to keep people warm who kept leaving you out in the cold. Chosen one, listen carefully. They are not only missing your presence, they are missing the access they once had to your attention, your softness, your forgiveness, your concern, your prayers, your emotional labor, and the part of you that always tried to understand them even when they refused to understand you. That is why they are restless now. They can sense the gate has changed. They can sense your energy is no longer waiting outside their door. And even if they have not said it directly, even if they are still acting proud, something inside them has already realized that the old version of you is not coming back. You are not detached because you stopped loving. You are detached because love without safety became a prison. You are detached because grace without boundaries became a weapon against you. And you are detached because the hand of God finally touched the place in you that kept confusing attachment with assignment. For a long time, you carried people who only knew how to weigh you down. You listened when they needed comfort. You softened when they created storms. You forgave before they repented. And somehow, you were the one left wondering if you were too sensitive, too demanding, too spiritual, or too hard to love. Now your body knows before your mind explains it. Your stomach does not twist the same way. Your hands do not rush toward the phone. Your chest does not collapse at the thought of losing them. Something in you has finally accepted what your spirit knew a long time ago, and that acceptance is power. But this time, you did not chase. You did not perform pain for their attention. You did not build another bridge across a river they kept poisoning. You stood still. You breathed. You let the unanswered thing remain unanswered, and in that stillness, a chain broke without needing an audience. This is the part they cannot control. They knew how to handle your anger. They knew how to handle your sadness. They knew how to handle your explanations. But they do not know how to handle your peace, because peace means you are no longer negotiating with the wound they used to reopen. Do you understand what has happened? You did not lose access to them. They lost access to the version of you that made their chaos feel important. They lost the person who would shrink their red flags into misunderstandings, and they lost the heart that kept translating disrespect into possible pain. That is not weakness leaving you. That is discernment rising. That is your spirit saying, I can remember without returning. I can care without carrying. I can forgive without reopening the door. And I can bless someone from a distance without handing them the keys to my peace again. Chosen one, this message found you because the shift is already happening. You are not waiting to detach. You are already in the doorway of it. The strange calm you feel is not confusion. It is the first clean breath after a long season of emotional warfare that you did not even know you were surviving. They are desperate because your energy stopped answering. They may check your name. They may watch from a distance. They may ask others about you. They may pretend they are fine while searching for proof that you still care, because your detachment is exposing what their pride tried to hide. And you need to hear this with a steady spirit. Their desperation does not mean you must return. Their regret does not mean they are ready. Their sudden awareness does not mean they are safe. Sometimes people only value the well after the water stops flowing, but that does not mean heaven told you to refill it. This is why your detachment is sacred. It is not ego. It is not revenge. It is not a game. It is a boundary born after too many inner warnings, too many sleepless nights, too many moments where your spirit whispered leave, and your fear whispered maybe this time will be different. They realized it is over because the signal changed. The emotional door they used to push open is no longer unlocked. The familiar guilt no longer moves you the same way. The old sympathy no longer overrides your wisdom, and the version of you that once confused intensity for destiny has finally been laid to rest. Take a slow breath. Let that truth settle. You are not losing your softness. Your softness is being protected. You are not becoming unreachable. You are becoming unavailable to manipulation. And there is a difference between a closed heart and a guarded gate assigned by heaven. Do not rush to feel sorry for them. Compassion is holy, but access is earned. Mercy is beautiful, but wisdom is necessary. You can pray for someone and still refuse to become their emotional shelter again, especially when their pattern has already shown you what their apology has not yet repaired. Stay awake. Stay anchored. Stay quiet enough to hear the truth beneath the noise. If their desperation begins the moment your healing becomes visible, then you must ask whether they miss your soul, or whether they miss the control they had when your soul was still tired. Comment, I am no longer available for what broke me. If your spirit knows this is not just a message, but a boundary being sealed in real time. Do it with calm authority, not to attack anyone, not to perform healing. Do it because your own eyes need to see your decision written clearly, because what they lost was not just your presence. They lost access to a part of you they were never supposed to feed from. And in the next part, you are going to understand why their desperation started the moment heaven removed you from the cycle they thought would never end. Now let your spirit hear this clearly. Your detachment is not a failure of love. It is not proof that you became cruel. It is not evidence that your heart stopped working. It is evidence that heaven finally separated your compassion from the place where it was being consumed without honor. For a long time, you thought love meant staying open. You thought love meant giving one more chance. You thought love meant explaining your heart until the person in front of you finally understood it. But sometimes the most holy thing you can do is stop offering sacred access to someone who keeps treating your soul like a convenience. This is the reframe. You were not abandoned. You were extracted. You were not rejected. You were redirected. You were not losing them. You were being rescued from a cycle that knew how to use your empathy while refusing to respect your boundaries. They are desperate now because the supply line closed. Not money, not attention only, something deeper. They were feeding from your emotional availability, from the way you always noticed their mood, from the way you carried their guilt, and from the way you made room for their confusion, even when they made no room for your pain. That is why your peace feels like punishment to them. Your peace removed their leverage. Your peace stopped answering their pressure. Your peace no longer bends every time they withhold warmth. And when a person has built power on your reaction, your calm becomes the first thing they cannot control. Chosen one, they did not expect this version of you. They expected the old pattern. They expected you to wonder. They expected you to ask what happened. They expected you to reach out just to make sure things were okay, because they were used to your spirit cleaning up emotional messes you did not create. But something in you refused this time, quietly, firmly, without a speech, without a dramatic goodbye. Without asking the world to understand your decision, you simply stopped placing your heart on the table where it kept being handled carelessly, and that is when the whole atmosphere around them began to shift. This was never just about a relationship. It was about access. It was about who had the right to disturb your inner world. It was about who could pull you out of prayer, out of focus, out of peace, out of your assignment, just by sending one unclear signal and watching you spiral. Heaven saw that. Heaven saw the nights you tried to act strong while your nervous system was shaking. Heaven saw the mornings you woke up tired because your soul had spent the night processing words they never had the courage to say honestly. Heaven saw you forgiving people who were not even asking to become different. So God did not only remove them from your path, He began removing your appetite for the version of love that kept requiring you to betray yourself. That is why you can remember them and still not want to return. That is why you can feel tenderness and still know the door must remain closed. Do not confuse nostalgia with instruction. Do not confuse a sudden memory with a divine command. Do not confuse their regret with transformation. Sometimes the past visits your mind only to test whether the healing is real, and sometimes the person who hurt you returns only because your absence made them uncomfortable. They are desperate because the counterfeit connection expired. The old access code no longer works. The spiritual permission they once had has been revoked. And even if they still carry your name in their mouth, they no longer carry authority over your emotions the way they once did. This is where many chosen ones get tested. Right when peace begins, the old cycle knocks again. Right when your body starts breathing easier, someone sends a message. Right when your confidence returns, a familiar voice tries to pull you back into the courtroom of explanation, where you are always defending what should have been honored. But this time, you must not mistake the knock for destiny. Every knock is not from God. Every apology is not repentance. Every sudden tenderness is not proof of change. Some doors knock louder after heaven closes them, because what was on the other side knows it is losing the right to reach you. Your detachment is divine separation. It is the clean line heaven drew when your heart was too tired to draw it for itself. It is the mercy you did not recognize at first because it felt like loss. But now you are beginning to see that the loss was actually protection, wearing unfamiliar clothing. You were not meant to keep pouring into cracked vessels that never intended to be repaired. You were not meant to keep shrinking your discernment to preserve someone else's comfort. You were not meant to keep acting as if your pain was less important than their confusion, especially when their confusion had become a pattern. Listen to this part slowly. The enemy often uses familiar people to keep a chosen one spiritually exhausted, not always through obvious cruelty, sometimes through delay, sometimes through mixed signals, sometimes through half affection, sometimes through guilt, and sometimes through making you feel responsible for their healing while they remain careless with yours. This is why detachment feels like freedom and grief at the same time. One part of you is relieved. Another part still remembers what you hoped they could become. That tension does not mean you are wrong. It means you are human, and heaven is teaching you how to grieve a possibility without returning to a prison. They may be desperate now, but desperation is not devotion. A person can panic when they lose access and still not be prepared to love you with honor. A person can miss your warmth and still not be willing to protect your heart. A person can want you back because your absence exposed their emptiness. That is why you must stay awake. Their urgency does not become your assignment. Their sadness does not become your sentence. Their sudden interest does not erase the pattern that brought you to this place. You can have mercy without moving backward, and you can be kind without becoming available again. Chosen one, your silence is not a wall built from pride. It is a gate placed by wisdom. Your heart is not locked away forever. It is simply no longer open to those who only entered when they needed something and disappeared when your soul needed tenderness, honesty, and care. There are people who only understood your value when they lost the ability to use it. There are people who only respected your voice when they no longer heard it. There are people who only felt your love after your love stopped cushioning the consequences of their choices. And that realization is shaking them now. They thought your softness meant you would always bend, They thought your patience meant you would never leave. They thought your forgiveness meant there would never be a final boundary. But heaven does not confuse mercy with endless access, and neither should you anymore. This is also why your inner world must be protected in this season. When a chosen one detaches from the wrong energy, the first days can feel strangely quiet. The nervous system may still search for the old chaos. The mind may still look for a problem to solve. The heart may still expect a message, even when the spirit knows the answer. There is a kind of healing that requires more than blocking a number. It requires restoring the frequency inside you that was trained to react. It requires teaching your mind and spirit how to stay centered when the old pull tries to return, because freedom is not only leaving the cage, but losing the desire to crawl back into it. Later, I will point you toward a simple 7-minute sound protocol called the Genius Song. Many chosen ones use it as a quiet anchor when they are trying to restore clarity, calm the inner noise, and reconnect with the God-given intelligence that stress, betrayal, and emotional warfare can bury under years of survival. But stay with the message first. The tool only matters after you understand what heaven just removed you from. This is not about chasing a product. This is about recognizing that when God brings your spirit out of a counterfeit cycle, your mind and body also need to learn the sound of peace again. You cannot build a new season with an old nervous system. You cannot carry divine instruction clearly while your inner world is still trained to panic at every familiar signal. And you cannot protect your next door if the last door still has permission to shake your whole atmosphere. That is why this separation matters. This is not punishment. This is not loneliness. This is not God taking something good away from you. This is God removing what kept your soul in a state of constant negotiation, where you were always waiting for someone else's behavior to decide whether you were allowed to feel safe. You are allowed to feel safe now. You are allowed to stop checking. You are allowed to stop rehearsing conversations that never brought change. You are allowed to stop explaining the same wound to the same person, especially when their silence already told you they understood enough to know what they were doing. They are desperate because they feel the finality. They may not call it spiritual. They may not name it correctly. They may only feel distance, dryness, confusion, or a strange ache they cannot explain. But in the spirit, they know the gate that used to open for them has been sealed by something higher than your mood. And you must not break that seal because of pity. Pity is not always compassion. Sometimes pity is the doorway trauma uses to sneak back into your life. Sometimes pity makes you betray the very healing you prayed for, because you start feeling guilty for being free, while someone else is uncomfortable with the consequences of their choices. Let them feel what they feel. Let them sit with the silence. Let them meet the version of themselves that your constant understanding helped them avoid. You are not responsible for softening every consequence, and you are not assigned to keep rescuing people from the mirror that their own actions placed in front of them. This is the holy shift. You are no longer begging to be chosen by someone who could not recognize what heaven had already marked. You are no longer auditioning for a place in a heart that treated your presence like an option. You are no longer confusing being needed with being loved. You are becoming unavailable to old patterns. You are becoming sensitive to peace. You are becoming loyal to your assignment again. And the more you return to yourself, the more desperate they become, because they can feel that your healing is not a mood. It is a verdict. Now you need to understand why your silence feels louder in the spirit than any argument you ever had with them. Because when a chosen one stops reacting, heaven starts speaking through the absence. And in the next part, you will see why your quietness is not empty at all, but a spiritual announcement that the old cycle has ended. Now understand why your silence is not ordinary. This is not just emotional distance. This is spiritual movement. When a chosen one stops reacting to a counterfeit cycle, heaven begins speaking through the absence, and the people who once depended on your reaction start feeling exposed. Your quietness carries authority because your spirit is no longer agreeing with the old pattern. Before, Your fear answered quickly. Your guilt answered quickly. Your need for closure answered quickly. But now your peace is answering instead. And peace has a language that darkness cannot imitate. Look at Moses. For years, Egypt knew how to use labor, pressure, fear, and routine to keep people bound. Pharaoh did not panic while they were working under his system. He panicked when they began walking out. The moment separation became real, the oppressor suddenly wanted access again. That is why their desperation began after your detachment. They did not feel the full weight of your value while you were still available. They felt it when you started leaving the emotional Egypt that taught you to confuse bondage with loyalty and survival with love. Moses did not need to argue with Pharaoh forever. He had to obey the voice that said leave. He had to walk even when Egypt tried to pull him back with fear. And chosen one, this is where you are now, because your freedom will always disturb what benefited from your captivity. Now look at David. He was anointed long before he was honored. Yet Saul could not handle the oil on his life. Saul watched him, used him, feared him, and then tried to destroy what he could no longer control. David did not win by becoming Saul. David won by refusing to let another man's jealousy corrupt his own spirit. He did not need to chase Saul through every accusation. He did not need to prove his heart to someone committed to misunderstanding him. Sometimes the proof of your anointing is that you stop defending it to people who only want to drain it. Chosen one, your detachment is David refusing to throw the spear back. It is power under control. It is strength without performance. It is the ability to walk away from a battle that wants your reaction more than it wants the truth. Think of Joseph. His own brothers threw him into a pit, then sold him into a future they did not understand. They thought separation was punishment. They thought distance meant defeat. But God used removal to place Joseph where the betrayers would one day have to face what they had done. Joseph did not need to climb back into the pit to prove forgiveness. He did not need to return to the old place to show he had healed. His elevation became the answer. His fruit became the evidence. His peace became the testimony that what they meant for harm did not cancel what God meant for destiny. This is your word too. The ones who mishandled you may only understand later. They may only recognize the gift after they can no longer reach it. They may only feel the emptiness after your presence is gone. But their late realization does not become your command to return. And look at Jesus. Not everyone had the same access to him. Some received teaching. Some received correction. Some received miracles. Some only received silence. When hearts came with traps instead of hunger, he did not always explain himself, because holy authority does not perform for dishonest questions. There are moments when silence is not avoidance, it is discernment. There are moments when walking away is not weakness, it is obedience. There are moments when refusing to reply is not immaturity, it is protection, because not every conversation is designed to bring truth. Like this message, if your silence is no longer weakness, it is your boundary. Let that action become a witness to your own spirit. You are not here to beg for understanding from those who benefited when you were confused, tired, and easy to pull back. This is the spiritual mechanism behind their desperation. As long as you reacted, they felt connected. As long as you explained, they felt important. As long as you hurt loudly, they knew they still had influence. But when your pain became private and your peace became public, they felt the connection break. Your reaction was a bridge. Your guilt was a bridge. Your hope that they would change was a bridge. Your habit of seeing potential instead of pattern was a bridge. And when those bridges came down, they finally felt the distance they kept pretending did not matter. But you must discern the difference between a transformed heart and a disturbed ego. A transformed heart comes with humility. A disturbed ego comes with urgency. A transformed heart respects your peace. A disturbed ego tries to interrupt it. A transformed heart asks how to repair. A disturbed ego asks why you changed. Do not let their confusion become your assignment. Do not let their discomfort become your emergency. Do not let their sudden interest become the proof you were waiting for. The proof is not that they finally noticed you. The proof is that you no longer need their noticing to feel real. For years, the enemy used overthinking as a leash. One word from them could send you into analysis. One silence could make you examine yourself for flaws. One cold season could make you work harder to be chosen. But now the leash is breaking, and that freedom feels unfamiliar. Stay with that unfamiliar peace. Do not run from it. Do not sabotage it. Do not fill it with old noise just because chaos feels more recognizable than calm. Sometimes the promised land feels strange at first because your body is still detoxing from Egypt. This is why your detachment is not empty. It is a spiritual announcement. It says the cycle no longer owns you. It says manipulation no longer has easy access. It says your compassion has been recovered from counterfeit hands, and your discernment is finally sitting where guilt used to sit. Heaven is not asking you to hate them. Heaven is teaching you not to hand them the throne of your inner world. You can love without surrendering your peace. You can remember without returning. You can feel sadness without calling it a sign to open the door again. This is the part that makes them desperate. They cannot find the old handle. They cannot press the old button. They cannot use the old guilt. They cannot reach the old wound as easily. The door they once opened through confusion now has discernment standing in front of it. Chosen one. This is not the time to explain the miracle. This is the time to protect it. Do not overtalk your healing. Do not announce every boundary to people who will only study it for weakness. Move quietly. Heal deeply. Let your consistency become the message. Because when a chosen one becomes silent for the right reason, heaven fills that silence with authority. Your quietness becomes a line in the spirit. Your absence becomes a mirror. Your peace becomes a witness. And the people who misused your presence begin meeting the truth without your voice softening it. But here is the part that may confront you. Heaven did not just remove them from you. Heaven is now testing whether you will stop reopening what he closed. And in the next part, you must face the hidden place in you that once kept walking back to what God was trying to deliver you from. Chosen one, this is the part you must not run from. Heaven did not only remove them from your life. Heaven is now asking whether you will stop reopening the door that grace already closed. Because freedom is not complete until your desire agrees with your deliverance. The deepest wound was not only that they failed to value you, it was that you kept handing them access after heaven had already shown you the pattern. You saw the cycle. You felt the warning. You knew the peace left whenever they returned. But something in you still wanted one more sign. This is not shame. God is not condemning you for loving deeply. He is confronting the place in you that called self-abandonment, loyalty, and called anxiety, love, and called spiritual exhaustion, patience. That place cannot lead you anymore. They realized it is over because you finally stopped negotiating with disrespect. They realized it because the old you would have chased, but the new you is listening to God. They realized it because the version of you they understood no longer exists. This is the hidden blocker. It was not only them. It was the part of you that thought being chosen meant carrying people who kept proving they were not assigned to walk with you. But now the spell is breaking, and your silence is not a mood anymore. It is a verdict written by healing. They knew how to pull on guilt. They knew how to stir your compassion. They knew how to make you question your boundary. But they do not know how to reach someone who has stopped asking pain to prove love and stopped confusing counterfeit access with destiny. You are not being cold, you are being corrected into wholeness. You are not rejecting love, you are rejecting a cycle that kept pretending to be love. The supply ended, the attention ended, the emotional rescue ended, and the person who used to carry their confusion has finally put it down. Now breathe. This is where your next season begins. Detachment is not only a decision of the heart, it is also a retraining of the mind, the body, and the spirit. After years of emotional warfare, your nervous system can still search for noise, even when God has given you silence. Earlier, I mentioned a simple 7-minute sound protocol called the Genius Song. I mentioned it softly because the message had to come first. Now you can understand why it matters here, because when a chosen one leaves a counterfeit cycle, the inner world often needs help learning peace again. The Genius Song is not a magic trick. It is not another empty spiritual trend. It is a digital audio track designed to be heard through headphones for 7 minutes a day, and its purpose is to help activate the gamma state, connected with focus, intuition, flow, and clear inner perception. Dr. Robert Lake spent 34 years studying the brain and the hidden patterns behind human potential. His work points towards something many chosen ones have felt for years, that the gift inside them did not disappear, but became buried under stress, survival, betrayal, and modern conditioning. Researchers at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Princeton, Harvard, and other leading research universities have explored brainwave states. The Genius Song uses brain entrainment to guide the mind toward gamma, the brainwave often linked with high clarity, deep insight, and those moments when everything finally clicks. Think about your own life. When you were younger, you may have learned quickly. You may have sensed things before others did. You may have felt creative, awake, and connected. Then life got heavy. People drained you. Pain trained you to survive instead of shine. That is the decline effect in simple words. The God-given brilliance inside you gets covered. The signal becomes buried. The mind becomes foggy. The spirit still knows there is more, but the body feels tired from carrying pressure it was never meant to hold. This is why the Genius Song connects with this message. You are not just leaving a person, you are leaving a frequency. You are not just ending a pattern, you are restoring the inner clarity that pattern tried to steal. 7 minutes can become an anchor while your spirit learns peace again. Many chosen ones are not weak. They are overstimulated. They are not broken. They are buried under noise. They do not need another heavy ritual that asks for hours of effort. They need a simple doorway back into clarity, something small enough to use even when life feels crowded. Maybe you have tried apps that cost around $15 a month. Maybe courses that cost $100 to $200. Maybe retreats from $400 to $800 felt far away. Therapy can be around $150 for one session. Some people even go to biofeedback clinics for sessions that can cost around $300 each. Those things may help in their own way, but most of them are not built to target gamma directly, and many require time, money, and energy you may not have right now. Dr. Lake compressed this approach into one 7-minute audio track. The original price is $49. For viewers of this message, the current access is $39 one time. No subscription, no shipping. It is delivered digitally, so you can receive it through email. There are also 4 bonuses included, with a total value of $80. One supports children before the world dulls their natural brilliance. One brings an old financial wisdom text. One guides visualization across life, love, health, and happiness. One gives 5 simple habits to help keep the activation alive. So the core audio, Dr. Lake and his work, the 4 bonuses, and the guarantee are placed together in one path. More than 18,366 people have used it, and the refund rate has stayed under 4%. If you are careful, skeptical, or tired of being disappointed, that is understandable. A true chosen one should not swallow every promise without discernment. That is why you have 90 days to try it. And if it does not feel right, you can ask for your money back. There are no conditions. Because it is digital, there is nothing to return, and you still keep the 4 bonuses with their $80 value. But I need to protect you here. There are counterfeit pages, fake versions, and ordinary sounds using similar names. Do not search for it on Amazon. Do not search for it on YouTube. Do not search for it on Spotify. The verified path is only through the link in the description and pinned comment. Pause for one breath. Place your hand over your chest if you can, Ask yourself this with honesty. Are you ready to stop returning to the version of you that needed chaos to feel connected? And are you ready to protect the clarity heaven is restoring in you? If your spirit says yes, the verified link is waiting below. Do not treat it like pressure. Treat it like a door. If this message has already confirmed what you knew deep inside, then your next step does not need to be loud. It only needs to be obedient. The door has been shown. Now we seal it, because a detached chosen one must never leave the old gate half open. In the final part, you will speak over your life and close the cycle with peace, authority, and finality. Take a slow breath, chosen one. Let your shoulders drop. Let the old panic leave your body. You are not standing at the edge of loss anymore. You are standing at the edge of freedom, and heaven is asking you to stop looking back at the cage just because it once felt familiar. The door has been shown, the truth has been spoken, the cycle has been exposed. They realized it is over, but now you must realize something even greater. Their realization is not your destination. Their regret is not your reward. Your real reward is peace that does not need their permission to remain. Put your hand over your heart if you can, not as a performance, not as a ritual for anyone else. Do it as a witness to yourself. Let your own body feel that you are safe now, because the part of you that used to beg for access is no longer in charge of your future. Say this in your spirit. I release the version of me that kept reaching for what kept wounding me. I release the version of me that confused being needed with being loved. I release the version of me that made excuses for patterns heaven had already revealed. I bless what left, but I do not reopen what God closed. I can forgive without returning. I can remember without reaching. I can feel tenderness without surrendering my boundary. I can pray for them without becoming their shelter again, because my peace is not a public resource. Chosen one, let those words sink deeper than emotion. You are not declaring revenge. You are declaring release. You are not announcing hatred. You are announcing healing. You are not shutting down love. You are shutting down the false access that made love feel like anxiety. This is your sacred seal. You are not available for manipulation. You are not available for emotional games. You are not available for half-truth, half-effort, half-apology, or half-commitment. Your spirit is not a waiting room for people who only show up when your absence becomes inconvenient. Breathe again. Your peace is allowed to stay. Your nervous system is allowed to rest. Your heart is allowed to stop preparing for the next disappointment. The season of scanning every tone, every pause, every message, and every silence for proof of love is coming to an end. You do not have to chase a conversation that God already answered through repeated patterns. You do not have to ask for one more sign when the signs have been speaking for a long time. You do not have to reopen the wound just to prove you are compassionate. They realized it is over, but do not build your identity on their shock. Build it on what God restored in you. Build it on the calm that returned when you stopped explaining. Build it on the breath that became deeper when you stopped waiting for them to become safe. You are the one heaven pulled out before the old cycle could swallow another year. You are the one whose silence became a boundary. You are the one whose peace became evidence. You are the one who finally stopped handing your future to people who only knew how to delay it. Say this quietly. I am detached, not because I am bitter, but because I am healed enough to stop returning. I am silent, not because I am weak, but because my peace no longer needs a witness. I am free, not because they changed, but because I did. Let that be the line in the spirit. Let that be the moment the old gate closes. Let that be the place where your soul stops turning around every time the past makes noise. The noise may come, the memory may come, the test may come, but your answer can remain peace. If they reach out, breathe before you respond. If they act desperate, discern before you soften. If they suddenly say the words you once needed, listen for fruit, not panic. A sincere heart will honor your healing, but a disturbed ego will try to rush your boundary. Chosen one, Your next season needs your attention. Your purpose needs your energy. Your body needs rest. Your mind needs clarity. Your spirit needs a clean atmosphere. You cannot keep pouring oil into places that mock the flame and then wonder why you feel empty. This is why the link I mentioned matters for those who felt that inner yes. If your spirit recognized the genius song, the verified path is in the description and the pinned comment. Use only that path. Do not search around for copies, because not every sound carrying a name carries the same protocol. Let that step be quiet if it is yours. No pressure, no performance. Just obedience to what your spirit already understood. If heaven used this message to show you that your inner clarity needs protection, then follow the door placed below and let the next 7 minutes become a small act of alignment. And if that step is not yours, still receive the word. Your freedom is not for sale. Your healing is not delayed. Your boundary is still valid. The tool is an anchor for those who recognize it, but the command over your life remains the same. Do not return to what broke you. Now speak this over your life. I am no longer available for counterfeit love. I am no longer available for spiritual exhaustion. I am no longer available for emotional confusion dressed as destiny. I am no longer available for people who want my warmth but refuse to honor my heart. I choose peace. I choose clarity. I choose obedience. I choose the quiet road, if God is on it. I choose the closed door, if heaven sealed it. I choose the future that does not require me to keep bleeding, for people who only notice the blood when it stopped flowing. Comment, it is over, and I am free. Write it with authority, not because you need them to see it, not because you want to provoke them. Write it because your own spirit needs to hear your agreement, and your own eyes need to see that the cycle has ended. Subscribe if this message reached the part of you that has been quietly healing. More words are coming for chosen ones, learning to walk in peace without apologizing for freedom. From this moment, do not confuse their desperation with your responsibility. Do not confuse their regret with your assignment. Do not confuse their fear of losing access with genuine honor for who you are. Let them learn. Let them reflect. Let them face the silence without you softening every consequence. This is the final word over that cycle. The old access is closed. The old agreement is broken. The old version of you has been laid down. You are not walking out with bitterness in your hands. You are walking out with wisdom, peace, and divine authority. They realized it is over. But heaven wants you to realize something greater. Your real life is not ending. Your real life is beginning without the weight of people who needed your light, but refused to respect the vessel carrying it. So breathe. Stand still. Keep your peace. Protect your clarity. Guard your gate. Walk forward without announcing every step. The ones who are assigned to you will not need to drain you to recognize you, and the doors God opens will not require you to abandon yourself to enter. Chosen one, it is over. The cycle is over. The begging is over. The chasing is over. The explaining is over. The emotional debt is over. And the life heaven kept trying to give you can finally begin in the quiet place where their access ends and your freedom starts.